Midweek update. Tuesday, last day of filing. Let me just tell you right off the top, we're going to be back here at 5 o'clock sharp when filing closes. I've got my browser up. Let's talk about the shifting news already. So, Secretary of State, I had some people tweet at me, why would people be interested in this? And I'll tell you. So, Denny Hoskins kind of has a lane here in Jeff City. He raises hell. And that is good for social media. That's good for some activism. A little tough on fundraising. So these things have broken down into primaries of you kind of got, you're because of term limits, you're always going to have primaries now. Eric Schmidt in his treasurer race might have got the last free ride. You get free ride for re-election, but for your first time in one, I just don't see people having one. Um, um, I don't see anybody getting a free um a free ride. So what ends up happening is when it was going to be Denny and Caleb, and then you had Shane Scholler, who's great guy, gonna get a block of votes. Then you had Adam Schwadron, who again, like I said, we talked about previously, I didn't think was like I didn't think Shane's Adams' candidacy was all that serious. Then he banked $100,000 check. And it's like, okay, when you're a first-term state rep, you just don't have the network to really to build. But the fact is, if you can come in, put together $100,000, if he's got a donor willing to do more, all of a sudden, you don't need the network if you can raise the money. So the thing about it is but you have to actually pocket the money. That's the thing. The money's got to be pocketed. If it's not pocketed, it's not real. Call my buddy riding around and back later. So anyhow, you looked at that race and you said, okay, I think there's people that Caleb's gonna soak up all the fundraising. Denny was gonna try to grassroots it, and anytime you hear grassroots, that's bad, awful, terrible. Can't anything as I'm running grassroots. Denny Haas is a professional politician. He wasn't running a grassroots campaign. He was gonna have some money, and he will raise some money. I mean, if the VLT folks don't give Denny Hoskins money, I think they have a hard time looking anybody in the eye in the Capitol next session to advocate for their stuff. I mean, he's been their guy. There's some folks that are going to be there for Denny. But with Caleb in the race, I mean, Caleb could have bought that thing. Nobody knows. If you ask people if you go out here, maybe not downtown Jeff City, but we go to downtown Fulton and say, who's the Secretary of State? They're probably going to say Condoleezza Rice, right? I mean, that just people ain't going to have any connection to that stuff. So Caleb could have bought it, I think. Good. He just didn't. I think he wants to go hang out with his family. It's a grind. So when Caleb pulled out, it opened up a lane, and the first person to jump on that was the first person to jump on that was Dean Plocker. I think it was smart, very intelligent of him to jump on that. So Dean jumps on it. 1.4 million in the bank. I think Dean can pull another $250,000 at the low end. I think Dean can raise some more money. So you take that 1.4, you put it. Let's say I think quarter million is the floor. I think he could bump that up to have another $500,000. You close $2 million. That's a significant amount of money. Denny Hoskins is on hand with about $500,000. He's gonna. Lemke has built a great group of activists. Now, I get it. Everybody snigger and chuckle if you want to, but there is some value there. There's a coordinated campaign between Eigel and Denny. A little bit Koenig. I don't know how much there is there. There's some for sure. I don't know how much. I don't think Holly's going to be in on that, but so we'll see. But they have Denny and Eigel have a network that they're building together that a lot of those folks will do work. I don't know if all Eigel's votes go to Denny. I don't know how that'll work. It's an untested way to do this. But I do know some of the activism, some of the volunteers, some of the man hours will transfer. So Denny's definitely, I would say, as of when he woke up yesterday, Denny was the favorite in that race. Dean makes that definitely closer. People say, well, he's got an ethics problem. Well, people on Twitter care. There's some House staffers that care. He did fill out his expense reports. We'll get to that in a second. Wrong, but I just don't. I just don't know, right? If it all comes down like I'm not a believer that it all come together. I think the ethics thing won't do a lot to make any difference. I think if he does, look, if he goes in there and passes an IP reform bill, I don't think money matters. I don't think there's going to be like donors come to that. I think he wants to do that himself. I think he's always wanted to do IP. Then you come in there and you do a school thing. There's money in that school stuff. If he does a school choice bill, okay, I could see that kind of being, okay. Now we're getting close to that $500,000 he could raise. And look, Dean Blocker's a good fundraiser. If he gets in front of you, yeah, he's got some support. I never trust those checks that'll be there after session, right? If you've ever been around politics, that check will be in after session. Well, that check will be in after session if you're coming back for another session. If you're not, that's a dicey proposition. But Dean will raise some money. So now you have Valentina Gomez, crazy gal on the internet. She's raising hell. She is going to right the world's problems from the Kirkpatrick building. I thought we were going to have her on. I've reached out to her, but it is what it is. I think she'd be fun to have on. I mean, the gal, she is the new wave of politician, and I think it's fun. She takes pictures of herself like working out. I think she took some chicken wire down on the border, which is kind of corny, but I mean, I thought it was pretty neat. So anyhow, she's in that race. Secretary of State, Schwadron. Schwadron's a good dude. He gives a good Lincoln Day speech. To count him out's wrong. Scholar's got a block of votes in Southwest Missouri voting for Shane. It doesn't matter what you do. Shane, if you know Shane personally, he's a great freaking dude. And you're probably going to vote. If you personally know Shane, you have a very likelihood to vote for him. And Shane makes all those chicken dinner circuits in Southwest Missouri. He has for years and years and years. The 7th District has a lot of votes, and a lot of votes are going to be for Shane. He is just the kind of guy you like. That's going to be a real interesting thing of not having. I really think Shane Schuler would be very hard to bust in and take votes from, in my opinion. I also think it's going to be hard for Shane to bust in and take votes other places. It's going to be hard to raise money. Greene County clerk is not known as a fundraising powerhouse of an office. So it's going to be hard for him to bust out of there. But hell, I mean, you break this up enough ways, Shane Schuler may have a small base, but it may be enough to win. And they may pull that. I bet if you pulled that thing today, Shane's doing great. And the truth is the person that would win would be, I don't know what the Secretary of State of Missouri even is or does, or there is one. I think the number one honest answer to a poll for who are you supporting for Secretary of State is that's a thing. I think that would win the poll. But Shane does have a base. I would say if I'm handicapping this, I would say Schwadron, Gomez is going to have to figure out a way to turn kind of funny Facebook videos into votes. We saw, man, who's that guy that ran for U.S. Senate? Great dude, got a cool name. He had these dope videos of him like blowing shit up, and he was like, he tried to do the Guyton shit, but man, he's a great God. He married the gal that did like the Newsmax, One America News. She was their White House correspondent. Shit, somebody could tell me. I can't remember. I can't believe I don't remember. But that dude, she's got that down. I would give her the longest shot right now. I got to put some money in the bank. Sorry. Facebook interactions are awesome. That's great, but you gotta bank some money and put together some support. Then Schwadron has a higher ceiling than most. He's a big dude, tall guy. I'm going to tell you, there's a large group of Jewish Americans that are more politically active than I ever remember them right now, for obvious reasons. He could be the beneficiary of that. And you go to Southeast Missouri, the evangelicals, and you're Jewish. That I know that there was a stigma coming out of Tom Schweik's tragic death, that there was this wave of anti-Semitism. And look, I'm not Jewish. I know anti-Semitism definitely exists. I've been shocked since October 7th to see some of the reactions to folks. There's not a large Jewish population. There's no Jewish population in Poplar Bluff that I know of, or for sure Stringtown. So you just don't know anybody's racist against somebody if there's none of those people to ever be around, right? So anyhow, to me, Schwadron goes to Southeast Missouri. They're going to love the fact he's Jewish. They're evangelical Christians. The Bible says to being nice to Jewish people is a good thing. That's if I was him, that's not something I'd be worried about. The part of the state I'm the most familiar with, that would be a very advantageous thing to tell folks. So Adam Schwadron has a higher ceiling than I think people think. You got to bank that money though. I know that he's got a big check from a donor. If that continues, then I think Adam Schwadron's got a real shot to be a factor in this, especially now we start to dice it up. Denny Hoskins, Denny's going to have some money, going to have some support. Denny's working the Lincoln days. There's a good speech. He'll have the Senate to get some attention for the next few weeks. I think though, and I think Senator Eagles run into this too. all of the support you're gonna get, all the support you're gonna get from kind of going on the Senate floor and playing the victim or playing the I'm fighting the whoever the power is. I'm not sure that he hasn't got all the people that give a damn about that. I think he's got them all, right? If you're gonna get support by going on the Senate floor and be like, oh, I took my parking spots and I'm fighting the big evil, I guess, liberal Republicans or whatever, whatever that's gonna get you, you got. But still, might as well keep doing it, right? It does refresh people's memory. It's not something that people carry, so refreshing that, I think it's there's some value, but I think there's diminishing returns after you've done it for 5 years, right? So Dean Plocker comes in, in a money race. Dean, if Dean Plocker's lucky enough that they remember his name and an ethics violation, he should take the name ID and go to the bank with it and spend his what I think will be close to $2 million closing the deal. Now, look, this House Ethics Committee may come out with something squirrely. I don't know. Now, let's talk about the new person. As I understand it, Senator Mary Elizabeth Coleman is going to PQ her congressional run, and she's going to rekindle, I'm sure, what will be a deep, passionate love for the Secretary of State's office. People will snicker. That's no different than Dean. It's no different than any of them. That's the race they thought they could win, right? Catherine Hanaway, I will say, she had a chance one time. She could have switched races and ran for the treasurer's job instead of Secretary of State against Robin Carnahan. She didn't switch, and she lost. I think Sarah Stillman won the treasurer's race. I think Catherine might have could have won that. She truly wanted to be Secretary of State. Tony Luchtenmeyer is a name that could have absolutely jumped into one of these races, been a major factor. I think he only wants to be Attorney General. I like that's like he's got a good life. He chooses. I don't want to do all this stuff. I just want to do that. So that's kind of where he is. But most of the time, you're over the one you can win, right? And so I think that's what all of these people are doing is they calculated, hey, maybe I like it a little bit, like maybe Koenig because of the school choice stuff, thought that. But I just think you're over the one he can win, right? And so that's what she's doing. That's what they're all doing. Trust me, nobody's any better than anybody else in this. It is what it is. So I think Senator Coleman probably goes down, switches, ends the congressional run. I've always told you, one of the most talented politicians in the party. I never felt like the 3rd congressional district was that race wasn't laid out. It almost looked too ambitious. And I think ambition is a great thing in politics. Ambition is a very good thing. Something about that never really felt like that was going to work. And she could absolutely stay in that race and win the thing. I just think if I'm her and Onder, boy, I like it a lot better to be Onder and to be, I like that a lot better. So we'll see what happens. If I'm her, Bob would be a tough candidate coming out of there, and that St. Charles, I just think that was going to be a heavy lift. But extremely talented politician. We'll see about the fundraising. We'll see how the fundraising goes. We'll see if they switch over and I mean, you got to raise. She's no different than Adam Squadron, than Valentina. You got to raise the money, right? And Plocker comes in as the big whale with the money. Whatever she does, she'll be good at. I think she'll be a major factor in the race. I think if you start laying out who this helps and hurts, I don't think this does any. I think 2 St. Louis people getting in doesn't do anything for Squadron. I think that the more people get in, the better for Shane. Again, there is a 7th district vote of people that have personally met Shane Schuler. And if you've met Shane Schuler, you like him and you respect him, and he's a hell of a guy. That vote, and I think it's hard for him to get. He's got a vote. There's a number that you could peg. He's going to hit. I don't know that you get the money to come out of that. But what you could do with all these people filing is you could bring the amount to win down to that number. So I think Shane's the winner by if just Dean got in. I don't know that I like that for him. But if you got Denny taking some folks, Mary Elizabeth now, I think the person that benefits from her getting in is probably Shane. If Shane could have got Denny one-on-one, okay, maybe you could, work the money angle. He starts off ahead of Denny, and he could work his money angle maybe and get there. But when you had Schwadron becoming more of a viable candidate with his donations, then you add in, Dean, if I was Shane, I'd be like, ooh, I don't know if I like that money. But now you can like bump it up to you can bump it up with Mary Elizabeth, and all of a sudden now you're starting to cut. Okay, I kind of feel like whatever my 7th district base is, if I pick off a little here and there, maybe I can put this together. So, I think good day for Shane Schuler. I do think Senator Coleman's talented. I think this is a better ticket, right? With Dean Plocker, the way I look at it like this. Dean Plocker was looking at a race that was probably 5-6 to 1 odds in the lieutenant governor's race. Holly Rader, Lincoln Huff, legit candidates. Paul Bear's got to raise some money. Wassinger comes in, going to be legitimate candidate. If I'm Dean, my difference is with Wassinger. He has money, lawyer of St. Louis. Dean's got a record in government that could be good and bad. Wassinger's got to put some money in. That's the biggest thing. If I'm him, I had like a 5-6 to 1 odds ticket. I traded in for 3-to-1 odds, and I don't think Senator Coleman getting in hurts Dean all that much. I just don't. I think that if I'm him, I don't like running against somebody that talented, but I think he's got better odds. If he bought a 3-to-1 odds, it might go down to 4-to-1 with her in the race, but it doesn't substantially alter what Dean Plocker's got to do to win that race. She's got to go convert. I mean, I don't know. I saw on Twitter, I think Keller may have put out that she had $200,000 in commitments. Commitments. Let's say 78% of that comes in the door. So you've got, let's say of altogether, she had 200 in federal. Those people are going to be working hard to switch. I have to think you just switch the money, right? I would say it'll be work to get it done and get it in the door. But something tells me 75 of the people just say fine. They'll all probably say fine. The ones that actually do it and send the new check and all that, I would say she probably with just some hustle that she probably doesn't have to personally do. With just some hustle, she probably puts 150 of that back in. And I don't think she's got a lot on hand right now. So let's say she gets 200. She's going to have to start putting together some big checks. But she has the ability to do it. We'll see where that race ends up. Gonna be interesting to watch. All these are interesting to watch. We're gonna come back at 5:00 and talk about all the final closings. Remember my buddies at United Fiber, the best rural internet, so good the city folks want in on it. I love when the city folks come asking for our stuff. I'll tell you this: you talk about policies that lead to conservatism, right? Yeah, sure. I don't like corn, man. Nobody does. But the truth is, every time people live tight together, they start to value services more. When they value services more, they vote more liberally, right? So the inverse of that is the more rural you live, just look at the map, the more Republican, the more conservative you vote. So rural broadband, allowing people to live in rural areas and making it where you don't have to live right on top of your neighbor, that is probably the most conservative public policy. I don't know, hell, since the tax cut, Kelton. I'm not sure. But they do it right. Also, if you're gonna come to Jeff City, there's only one place to stay. Be a pro. If you come to town for filing tonight and you're thinking about sticking around, having dinner, having a drink, you want to stay, go to the courtyard. I'm sure you can't get in. Text me. I'll do what I can, guys. I'll do what I can. Sometimes I'm lucky. I can get Randolph to find an extra room. Sometimes I can't. It's the best hotel. Look, I mean, they advertise on here, they're full, right? I mean, duh. It's not a hard calculation. So let's talk about the Missouri Democrat Party. Oh, what did you do? So I told you, there's a reason Ann Wagner took a party kind of in your spot and turned it into the dominant party because she made tough choices. She would put that high heel right up someone's ass if she had to. You got to do real shit. You're always going to be a loser if you act like a loser. Let me take a drink out of my Dave Marshak Yeti here. You're always gonna be a loser. I'm sorry, Democrats, and I'm not a hater on Democrats. So you have a person in Crystal Quaid. Okay, long shot to win, but all of your candidates are long shots to win statewide. I'm being honest right now. So long shot to win, but star for the future wins that race, wins the primary, does well in that general, which is I would say that the high water might get a little bit better than Nicole, and she's the leading candidate for a state Senate seat in Springfield to flip one, actually gain seats. I know it's a crazy concept. And then, off to the race 10 years ago, she could be governor. The world will change. And then then you prattle on about how we don't have special rules for rich white straight dudes, right? The world, people like Kelton, rich white straight dudes, are the problem with society. He knows it, don't you?
I wish I was rich.
Well, if you are, you'd be the hat trick of the problem, the Missouri Democrats. So then you bring in a rich white straight dude who literally voted in Chicago 4 years ago. So there's a law, this Constitution that people talk about. Got to live here for 10 years. You got to be a citizen for 10 years. So he votes in Chicago of all places. And I'm not sure he's not a Cubs fan. I mean, you prove me wrong. I mean, I've never lived in Chicago. I hate Chicago people. Then you take his filing fee. You screw the person that took that Democrat apparatus from shambles to actually picking up seats. It's a professional organization now. You screw her, and you put a guy from Chicago on who just voted in Chicago. Then you're going to tell me there's no voter fraud. It is past any kind of common sense. The truth is, you have no ability at all. Oh, I might have just been told that Chuck Basie may have filed. Kelton, you want to look at that and see? He may have filed against Stephen Weber for state senate.
I'll look into it.
What district? Is that 17? No, that's Maggie, Nuremberg, Jerry Nolte. That was a surprise. These things get a little, you can get them mixed up a little there. No. Is Caleb 19? Yep. Chuck Basie filed. That could be Chuck running. I actually have a regard for Chuck Basie. And I'll tell you why. He bitched about schools and bitched. You know what he did when he got out of the legislature? He ran for the school board. Now, he got shellacked, but he ran. He didn't just sit and whine and complain and want to run everything from Jeff City. He went and ran, and I respect that. And he knew it was a long shot. Chuck's not a dumb guy. I respected that. And so if he's either fighting the good fight, he could be placeholding. Sometimes that if you file, then you withdraw. You can the candidate committee, party committee can put somebody else on. That could be it. He could just be running for Senate. Chuck, it's a long shot. Any Republican running in the Boone County alone is a long shot. Stephen Weber's a great candidate. Talk about contrasting issues and styles. But we'll see. So anyway, back to you. What the hell? So I think Russ Carnahan was in a terrible spot. I actually have a regard for Russ Carnahan. I like him, but he's not willing to. You're just not willing to do the things that Ann was willing to do to take the Republicans from Shittsville to dominance. You kind of still want to be in Shittsville. And so, my bad, dude. You're going to stay in Shittsville. I'm disappointed in you. Do better. Here, Kelton, we need like a rag or something. Hand me that black rag right there. I can't stand to look at him right now. You disgust me. You had a chance to be good, and you chose to suck. You're the Cubs. I can't look at you right now. So look, if the Hammer dude comes in, Crystal, look, getting to $1 million is tough, especially when it's not likely you're going to actually be governor. Now you have a primary that's going to be tough. It is hilarious what they did, but there's a reason you don't get in the supermajority by making smart choices, do you, kid? You get in supermajority by doing shit just like that. So, and Hammer may be a great dude. I have no idea, but I mean, it is just a straight ass lie. Either you lied in Chicago that you were living there and a resident and a citizen of Illinois, or you lied today. So one of the two, right? You can't. You lied once. Now, look, I have like Jay Ashcroft, sit right there. When filing opened, the first day of filing, he goes, "Yeah, I shouldn't have said that veterans comment." And I'm like, "Yeah, you probably wasn't great." But he's like, "Hey, man, I misspoke." And I'm like, when the guy sits there and says, "Hey, I misspoke," you're like, "Oh, hell, it's okay." You can't. It's hard to stay mad at a guy that just says, "Hey, my bad." Now, if Mike Hammer comes out and does an interview, which I doubt he'll do this show, do you think, Kelton? Probably not.
Probably not.
Yeah, I would say that's unlikely. But he's welcome. He's a business guy. He kind of sounds like my kind of guy on some level. And just said, "Hey, you know what? I didn't know the rules. I didn't care about that. I wasn't thinking about this then." And I voted there. I didn't understand it all. I fucked it up. You know what people would say? They'd probably be like, "Oh, okay. Seems like a good guy." But I bet you it's going to be this bait and switch, not say anything, run some flowery commercials. And if he wins the primary, I'm going to tell you right now, what's guaranteed here is this is going to set back a potential rising star for the Democrats. It's not going to matter in November. Whoever wins that is going to get beat. Then, but every time the Republicans bring up a bill, every single time they're going to say, "Oh, remember Hammer when you took a filing fee for a guy that voted in Chicago?" Which is, and if you're 3D Doug Beck, remember our Flat Doug's cousin, 3D Doug, that's on the Senate in the Senate right now. Let's say you're on the Senate floor, and let's say a smart ass like Lincoln Huff says, "Oh, there's no voter fraud. You literally took the filing fee of a guy that voted in Chicago. You admitted it. You knew it." And you participate. Not only is there voter fraud, you participated in it. What's 3D Doug going to say? He's going to say, "Well, we did." I mean, hell, what are you going to deny it? I mean, there's just these things are black and white. And look, I think it would have been a tough move. Look, if Russ Carnahan would have done that, he'd have had the guy might have sued. It would have been a balls move for him to do that. I don't deny that. Russ Carnahan was I think he's doing a very good job, if you want the truth, on some of the things you got to do to build that back up. He was put in a shit spot, and you got to give him that. He also responded to the shit spot by kind of a shit decision. So, is what it is. I mean, I don't envy him in this spot, but you could have just not sucked at it. But like I said, there's a reason in the superminority, and there's a reason that probably ain't changing anytime soon. Any other? I got some text here. We got about 5. I got about 5 more minutes. Basie, Weber still heavily favored. Chuck will run a quality campaign. Chuck's the kind of guy like Carla May almost, right? Like Carla May, if she got on a stage with Josh Hawley, she could become a national sensation because she's got that personality and that she'll say stuff. Chuck Basie will say stuff, and you can see Chuck Basie coming up with a great one-liner or something and changing the dynamic of the race. I'm not seeing it, but Chuck's the kind of guy with a personality. He could maybe do that. Again, I'm not seeing it, but that doesn't mean it's not there to be seen by anybody. He could pull something interesting off, and there he is. Thinking out loud here, any other surprises? I don't see it. I think Secretary of State, dance card, it was like, is Dean going to do it? And then I think there was some thought if he did it, Senator Coleman wouldn't. And then I think she decided, well, I don't care. I'm going to do it too. And there they are. Wouldn't be the first time that she went back on something with Dean. So, but I mean, look, none of these offices are anybody's. They're the public's office. Everybody can run for them. I always thought it was, but you should have to actually, I'm sorry, Dims, you should actually have to meet the requirements. I do think that's quasi important, but I guess only my elephant friend here in the majority thinks that. So anyhow, I don't see any big surprises. The other lady filed for Secretary of State, I had never heard of, but apparently she tried to put an abortion IP out there and it didn't work. So I don't know what that'll do. Is there a potential star that filed that Lori Rook? I in a 4-way race as the only woman, she's got a chance. She's got a ticket to that dance. But is she the favorite? No. But she's got potential to be real good. She's got potential to be real good. Now she's gonna have to. I don't think she's gonna raise a lot of money. Honestly, she's gonna have to spend. She put $500,000 in. She's gonna have to probably spend that. But if she spends that, and let's just say she places well, let's say she comes in second, all of a sudden she's a rising star. People are gonna talk about for other stuff. Keep in mind, Missourians like to beat you once. We like to beat the shit out of you one time. Ask Kit Bond. I mean, go down the list. Ask John Ashcroft. Ask Jay Ashcroft. The Missourians. Mark Richardson lost a race once. They liked it. They liked to kick piss out of you once and see how you respond. And I think Lori Rook is a potential star. Once she, I don't know that you're going to see it at state treasurer's race. It'll be a little tough, but I do think she's a potential star, and she could be someone that she could be someone in the future you hear about first this cycle. What's the best thing the state could do? You could move the gubernatorial election to the off year, to where it's more focus on it and it's more its own animal. I think that'd be the best thing the state could do is have 10 years from now, whoever's governor, you could be governor 10 years. You can win 3 elections. The first term's a 2-year term. I think that's the best thing the state of Missouri could do. You want people focused on the governor's race. You want people focused. And when you get them focused, then I think they'll make a better choice. If you have it just the top of the ticket, it's just a reflection of the top of the ticket. Very little ticket splitting in the state anymore, in anywhere anymore. That's the best thing the state could do is move that governor's election to the off cycle, off presidential year. Latest on Plucker. Oh, God. Guys, literally, I looked it up. The Warren Commission that investigated the assassination of the President of the United States. At this rate, so this will go. They've got another hearing next week. That'll be the 7th month of this inquiry. I'm not saying it's incompetence. I'm just saying for 7 months. You know how long the Warren Commission met for?
I have no clue.
8. It took. Oh, I mean, at this rate, it could. I mean, at this rate, Dean Plucker could be in his second term as Secretary of State before they get done. It took 1 month more to investigate the assassination of the President of the United States than this has taken. I'm not saying he's incompetent, but as they says, Kermit the Frog would say, prove me wrong. So right now, I think they figured out it's just become a shit show. I really think they should say house shit show meeting at whatever the hell they meet. They're trying to bring in more witnesses. What they figured out is, okay, there's really nothing to him looking into doing new software. I mean, you could disagree. Apparently, the whole house disagreed, but there's nothing wrong with that. So then you move the next thing to, I don't think they can really hang him on that because he didn't do anything wrong, unless there's something I'm not seeing. Then you move to, okay, we're mad at you for your expenses, which he did. But I think no one's willing to kick him out over that, right? I could see a strongly worded letter on stationery from a very sanctimonious member of the committee saying, you're an asshole. Okay, fine. But that's not what they want. They want to get rid of him. So now they come in, which is the most hilarious thing. When I heard this, I thought it was a lie. The Republicans, the people that gut workplace rights, the people that think I should be able to literally beat Kelton with a stick and he can't sue me, are now wanting to investigate the speaker. I shit you not, about workplace, a bad workplace. The people that have stripped away all the protections, which I kind of agree with, of employees' rights in the workplace. Now they want to get the speaker for a toxic work. I shit you not. I shit you not. But the problem is Chris Sanders filled out a complaint about the expenses. And they did this to Wiley Price. They didn't get Wiley Price for what they put the thing in for. It's that horseshit the federal government does. They got Wiley Price because he lied to the committee during the investigation of the thing he was ultimately never essentially cleared for. What they investigated, he was never, no charges were made about that, but he lied to the committee. So imagine a politician getting in trouble for lying to other politicians. My God, they live in their own world. So now they can't get Dean like they want him. Like there's a couple, Judge Evans. I mean, you want to talk about public service? Sitting for hours listening to David Evans tell you how sanctimonious he is. By God, that's public service. Let me just tell you, if you see a member of that ethics committee, buy them 2 beers, because public service is one thing. Sitting in a committee and listening to the most sanctimonious person I know tell you how morally superior he is to everyone, that's public service. Give those people a medal or something. But and so now they want to make it like he fired his employees and he was, I guess, mean. I don't know. I mean, what would be great if one of them was gay, and then they're like, "Oh, well, we don't have Mona." That's what Dean's defense should be. I mean, it is the funniest damn thing. I mean, I literally, I was like, "You're shitting me," and I thought they were, but no. I finally, folks kind of confirmed it. They want to expand this thing after 7 months. I think maybe at the end of this, Dean did kill JFK. I think that may be what happened here. There will be an Oliver Stone movie about this when it's done. I guess it'll be called DP. Look, I mean, honestly, I really think you have to think at some point some of the members are like, okay, kids, let's have a talk here. 7 months, and I know you want to get rid of him. Let's just put it to a vote. Get rid of Dean or not, and see where the chips fall. Let's just Matt Gaetz it, right? I think it's become a comedy of itself. And I don't think anybody started out that way. I just think you've got some folks that wanted to get rid of Dean, and they just don't have the thing they need. And he kind of took a lot of the steam out of it by saying, yeah, I messed these up. I'm repaying it. And I'm sorry. Well, again, it's like when Jay said something dumb. He's like, I'm sorry. And then you're like, well, yeah, you shouldn't have done that. I mean, you're in a big position. You should do better. But okay. And then, there it is. So anyhow, it is beyond funny. I've got to go to the Capitol myself, visit with a few folks, but that's you asked me about the endless investigation into Dean Plocker. I do believe Dean did kill JFK. I do believe he also did the Lindbergh kidnapping. I do believe he screwed up his expense accounts to the tune of $4,000. I do believe it's almost down to where he could give you like $20 a day. I think they're going to be into the per diem's going to cost more than they found on him. I think it'd be the most. And again, look, folks, they may come out and find that Dean really did something awful, and they should get rid of him. And if they do, by God, I'll say you did the right thing. Congratulations. But at this point, if Dean really did kill JFK, if he was on the grassy knoll, I gotta think it probably would have outed, right? Instead of just kind of desperation of some former employees and some current employees that want an outcome. But hell, at this, I mean, we're this is the week after spring break, Kelton. It's March Madness. We have the Sweet 16. So here's what we have to do, Kelton, on our betting. By the way, the Hilltoppers. Well, Drake blew my. Is Nick Saban still in it?
I think so, yeah.
Is Bill Eigel's alma mater still in it? Purdue.
Yeah, they're going to win it all, actually.
Okay, well, I have them going to the Final Four. Drake started from the bottom, and he stayed at the bottom. And the Hilltoppers sank my ballot. They lost in the first round. So let's have a bet in your legal sports pool. Dean Plocker's investigation, the endless investigation, is wrapped up before the national championship or after?
I'm going with after.
I am too. How could you take before? I mean, honestly, I might. What about this? Dean Plocker's investigation is wrapped up before tax filing deadline of April 15th.
Oh, I highly doubt that.
I would say after too. Okay, let's bump it up again. Is the budget of the state of Missouri done before the investigation of Dean Plocker's over?
That's going to be close.
Ooh, I finally got him. If I threw in the Chiefs or Mizzou, and he would have bet with them still. So I'm going to say I'm going to take the after. I'm sorry. I'm taking the after. All right, let me ask you this. The investigation of Dean Plocker is done before or after you collect your first Social Security check?
It might be down to like the hours.
That's 50-50 and pick 'em, right? I'm not sure. And Kelton's a young man. Don't let the hair fool you. Yeah, people are texting me. Yeah, after probably is the right move. And look, I mean, the guy screwed up. I mean, I thought he handled it pretty well. I said, hey, I messed up. And it's like, okay, don't get too uppity about stuff, but move on. It just, and again, if they have the smoking gun, if they have the Zapruder film back and to the left of him on the grassy knoll, Dean's a tall, good-looking son of a gun. Budget first, I think. Budget's a tough call. I kind of think if I'm Dean and I get to the end of session, I'm like, I'll just resign. I'm not coming back anyway. Screw you guys. But we'll see. I think what they want, the headline, I think the Democrats and the people working with the Democrat independent thing, they want the headline of House expands probe into Dean Plocker. That's what they want. And I, okay, if that's what you want, that you can get it. I guess since he switched races, a new set of people care, but I don't know. I just think this was something that could have been done before session started. I think most folks in that caucus thought that too. I think they got caught up early in session and was like, oh, whatever. Then it kind of came back to, okay, let's get on this. And people were like, come on, wrap this up. And so we'll see what happens. But all right, Kelton, I'm going to weigh in. I think the investigation is done before you collect Social Security because he's going to die, even though he's like 50, but he looks like he's 30. Because he was a vampire, maybe not. Dean might be like a zombie vampire. So that if that's the case, then I think they're going to find stuff on him. Like, if somebody dies in the Capitol of like 2 neck bites, I think we may have stumbled onto something here. But I will say the investigation is done. The budget gets done first. How about that?
I think that's a fair assumption.
Yeah, I think like the budget gets done first. I think the last week of session, those have to throw something out if they're not done.
I mean, it's got to be done before session is.
Well, you have to think because I mean he's technically speaker still, but like not really, right?
I mean, it's got to be done by then, or else it's just kind of out there.
Ooh, got one from a viewer. Is the FRA done before the Dean Blocker investigation is done? I'm saying no.
Absolutely not.
Yeah, I think that's a special session thing. I now Lincoln's pulled stuff out of his ass before, but I think that may be a special session thing. And I mean, now that he's not running as Lincoln, I mean, maybe well, we should talk to him. Maybe we can take odds on that and get some inside information. Kind of go Michael Douglas and Wall Street on that shit. Anyhow, then we'll be back at 5. We'll go down every race. We'll refresh the computer. Appreciate everybody. Love you. We don't know who's going to be on the show because we don't know who filing in. So we'll have a show. We will be back with a new studio with new views. Kelton, look at this. We're going to look so good. Well, I am. I mean, I'm back from Florida, tan, rested. Going to have a whole new long shot. Kelton, I'm telling you, Kelton's excited. I mean, he hasn't been. I think Kelton would be more excited walking into the new studio than on a porn set. I'm stoked for it. We'll see you guys.